Welcome back to One Fair Review. As always, I'm your host, Grant, and it's time we again review one of today's season's new anime. Well, it's not really that new, it's been going on for a while. And that would be Uchi no Maid ga Uzasugiru, aka UzaMaid, aka Pedo Maid. So, as always, before we review, here's some background on the show. The show is directed by Masahiko Hota and produced by Doga Kobo. That's a company, by the way, that's not a person. And the story goes as follows. Having lost her mother at a young age, Misha, a second grader who was half Russian and half Japanese, imagine that, now lives with her Japanese father. Kamui, formerly a Japan Air Self-Defense Force, JASDF officer, and that just rolls off the tongue, comes to their household as a housekeeper. This is a comedy where Kamui, a hardcore lolicon, attempts to get near Misha and Misha, in attempt, tries to fight against her so that she won't have to marry this crazy woman. Starring the very beautiful and talented Numakura Manami as the pedo maid Kamui, who says things like, "I'm not into girls who have started menstruating." Hakura Shirashi as Misha, the little girl who can't catch a break, poor thing. The Osakan beauty Ichimichi Moi as Midori, the girl who's just madly in love with Kamui and who just so happens to be a masochist. And finally we have Kato Masayuki as Yaushiro, the man with a heart of gold. Okay, so to start off with, let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that is the concept of the show. When this show first came out, a lot of critics did not want to review it, and a lot of people who did reviewed it very low, saying that they did not like the concept of the show. And I would be lying if I said that the concept isn't disturbing. The idea that this person becomes a maid just so then she could try to marry this little girl, this lolicon tries to marry a little girl, is very weird. I will admit that. It is kind of strange. And when I first heard that, I really wasn't that interested in watching it. But in the end, I did go in with an open mind. And honestly, I did kind of change my feelings on the show after watching the first episode. Upon my first viewing of the show, I noticed just how funny it was, how entertaining it was, and just kind of how heartwarming it was. To start off with, the story is very simple. I just told you the story. It's very interesting. It keeps you invested, I want to say. That's the word I'm trying to say, at least. The show's very entertaining in its story. It's a very cutesy story, and yes, the whole main concept is that the maid Kamui is trying to marry this little girl, but at the same time it does serve in a way as this little girl Misha is depressed after the loss of her mother, and she, in a way, the maid is helping her get integrated back into society properly and helping her along the way. And as well as Yaushiro, who is the stepfather of the young girl, is trying to become a better father. The story is very entertaining. The story is very funny, and it is a comedy, so it is very, very funny at times. The maid Kamui, she doesn't deliver that much funny stuff. She is entertainingly funny in how crazy she is. However, the real comedy in the show does lie with Misha. Misha is actually probably the funniest part about the show because of how she reacts to everything, especially to the two maids, which are Kamui and Midori. Both of them are just so weird and so crazy, and even her friends at school are so weird sometimes that she just kind of reacts to them. She's very sarcastic, very likable. She doesn't really take shit from anybody, and I do like her for that. Most of the comedy does come from her. And Midori is actually really funny as well. And Kamui is funny too. But like I said, Misha really is where the comedy lies. That being said, in terms of the story, I did find myself enjoying the story quite a bit. It was very enjoyable, very heartwarming at times. I did enjoy it. It's a very feel-good show. And yes, I do understand the theme is a little bit weird. But once you get past that, which maybe for some people that's hard to do, you can really start to enjoy the show for what it is. And what it is, it's a comedy. In terms of characters, there are really 4 main characters, or actually really 3 main characters when you really think about it in the show. All the characters are very likable, except for Kamui. Kamui is likable in the fact that she's an idiot and that she's a weirdo, but she's not really that great of an amazing character. The voice actress who plays her is very talented, and I did like her a lot. And I do like what she does in the show to help out Misha, That stuff's all good. And, she does have her heart in the right place, but she is a little bit weird, so take that for what you will. As for Misha, the little girl, I thought she was really cute. I thought her animation behind her was really cute. The voice actress who did her voice was also very cute. I really liked her. Like I said, she was very funny, very entertaining the whole way through. And then, of course, you have Midori. Midori is a more of a supporting character than anything else. She's not one of the main characters, but she does show up very often. She's very funny, being a masochist and being in love with Kamui. Her backstory behind why that's the case is especially funny, and I did really enjoy her character. Yasuhiro is a very not an entertaining character. He's very oblivious to what's going on, which is kind of funny because sometimes it's very obvious what's going on. But he's a very likable character. You don't see him much throughout the show, but he does have an episode dedicated to him, and I do really feel bad for the guy. I do really like him. He's just a guy who lost the love of his life, and now he has her child because he's not even the real father. He's the stepfather, and he just wants her to, be a good daughter. He wants to help her as much as he can because that's all he has left in the world. So I do feel for the guy, and I do like him. And in his one episode that he does have dedicated to him, it was very touching. Moving on to presentation, the animation is what we always start off with, and I have to say, the animation in this show is pretty darn good, and I mean surprisingly very, very well done. It's actually quite jarring to me that a show, especially with this concept and story that was hated by many critics, has some of the best animation I've seen all season. The animation's very, very well done behind the characters' animations, their subtle movements, and behind the 3D animation that does show up occasionally, and I do mean occasionally, it's not always there. And it's just very beautifully animated. It's very, very beautifully animated. I really like the animation in this show. And that was another thing that kept me coming back. Just watching the animation was just gorgeous. It is gorgeous. I can't believe it looks that good. And it looks better than some shows I've seen this season that have a better story than this. So, yeah, that does mean something. Clearly, the animators did pour their heart and soul into this show. They really did a great job with all the animation and the character designs. All of it's very, very well done. In terms of music, I really don't have much to say. The soundtrack's pretty bland. Even the main intro theme isn't particularly good. I didn't skip it, so it's not horrible, but it's not one of my favorites, and it's not that enjoyable. The rest of the music that goes on throughout the show is pretty, okay, generic. It gets the job done. It's just decent. It's really the animation that really stands out within this show, and not so much the music. Overall, the show, UzaMaid, is a very entertaining ride. I can in good faith say that this is an amazing show, even though I really want to. I really enjoyed it. There were some really heartwarming parts, there were some really funny parts, there are some really great episodes, and I really don't have too many complaints other than the main theme and a few nitpicks. That being said, the main theme is jarring. I do understand that, and I guess that does lead to some disenjoyment in some areas, but honestly, I'm not really a prude, and I enjoyed the show altogether, and it is one of my favorite shows that I've watched this season for how funny it is. In terms of music, I'm not a fan. I did not like the music in this show, so that does an automatic point reduction for me. The animation, though, really does make up for it, so add another point for that. The characters were really enjoyable, really entertaining, really likable. All of them did a great job, in my opinion. The voice actresses and the voice actor, all of them did a good job. And my final verdict for the show would have to be a 7 out of 10. I really like this show. I genuinely do. I find it very funny. I find it very entertaining, heartwarming at times, and it's got great characters. Now, do I recommend it? It's pretty hard. If you can get past the whole concept, yes, I do recommend it. If you can't, then you're probably not going to enjoy this show very much. It is very much about the main concept, which is Kamui wanting to get with Misha. Now, again, if you could ignore that, I definitely recommend this show. It's very funny. It's very entertaining. If you can't, well, skip it. That being said, even with all the things that I said about it, I do love this show. I do think it's very entertaining. It's a great show. I had a great time watching it. Didn't miss one episode. Did not wait to watch one episode. And it's going to stick with me for a while. Well, anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this review of UzaMaid I was Grant for One Fair Review because I have now died, apparently, saying that I was Grant. If you guys have seen the show, please let me know down in the comments below what you thought about it, what you think about it. Do you hate it? Do you love it? As always, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. And I'll see you next time on One Fair Review.